Oops, I gotta add something here. Excuse me, everybody. Gotta add something here to my chart. And we have PCE and we have American bombers messing around, messing with Russia. Other than that, what could possibly go wrong? Apparently, I didn't copy this or update this. Okay, so you get to see live how this thing works. Is this the right one? Yeah, I think so. No, that's not the right one. Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's see what this is. Okay. Control V. Okay, I'm just inserting my custom string that my subscribers get, and this is simply the levels in my daily plan written out. Somebody made, the lines are made for you. All right, so it's 8:31. Let's see where we are. I don't see a. I see a crappy reaction to the PCE. I also saw a headline about Russian bombers, and so that's probably not making the market very happy. Now, we'll go through this real quick. So yesterday I was away from the desk. I was in Gainesville, outside of Gainesville, looking at properties to have a winter property, so to speak, down here in Florida, selling the suburb house in Coral Springs, in case anybody's interested, probably not. And getting something right outside of Gainesville. There's nice rural property, like 15 miles outside of Gainesville around the perimeter. So it's not like a long trek into town. But anyway, so yesterday, real quick, the IC whale was at 66.20 and 66.85, I think. And we kind of in the morning teased the top. Then later in the day at 11 or 11:30, I'm not sure what happened. I was away from the desk, but when 66.50 broke, it was down goes Fraserville all the way down to 66.20. IC whale held his mud, and then we kind of bounced and closed in between. VIX at the same time. Yesterday popped to 17 during that downturn trend, and now we're up at 17 again, and 17 is definitely no bueno VIX. For the bulls to have a chance, we need to see it come back. If we are bulls. If we are bears, we're partying like 1999. More granular information about this to come. This is a new feature that Options Depth is sort of beta testing, kind of, sort of. And this is a depth view of VIX. This is customers' positions. This is where people are long VIX options. And it's hard to see the numbers, but we see, looks like 15, 16 customers long VIX, over 18, kind of a path up here. And now we have short over here. There's a lot of flies and ratios in the VIX complex. And don't get it twisted when you see the open interest. Over 25 customers sold. Those are the other side of flies or ratios up here. Now that could also create squeeze potential and a lot of that's VIX ETNs. You know, they have like these SVIX, whatever the ETNs are. The basically ETFs, but technically they're ETNs. And so the VIX complex is kind of sort of loaded. Saw this just came out, I think, yesterday, and I was on the road, so we'll figure that out later. I just got a chance to start looking at it, so more will be revealed. I say in my note, I don't know how much of my note I put out yet. I'm still playing catch up. But I say in my note, like, I'll be giving more granular VIX IV stuff, maybe overview, in the free notes that come out on Twitter, and more granular in the subscribers as I kind of perfect the whole thing. So this is kind of preview of coming attractions, but it's going to be fun. And not back test per se. I don't know that we need a back test to just apply common sense hedging. We know how the market makers are going to hedge it and buy VIX and on moves toward or away. If you have any back test ideas, put them in here or DM me here on Twitter. SPX only fans, I like your name. I like your name. Okay, and let me do this. Okay, so that's the VIX thing. And so, long story short, heading up to 17, 18, we're heading in dicey territory. Now remember, they're going to hedge their deltas, and the gamma risk is not as great out into October. It's not that sensitive, but it still is sensitive, and deltas are going to have to be hedged. And I'm going to have to play with this feature as I have it to be able to give you more nuanced interpretations. And VIX is running, so weekly continuing claims, I don't know. Jobless claims, all that stuff, I don't really know. What I do know is that it looks like it's not my job to tell the market if these numbers are good or bad. It's my job to say, wow, shit, look, pardon me, that whatever's going on here, the market doesn't like. So I guess we're talking about recession fears, maybe, I don't know. And we're heading to 6,600 where the big test will be. That's kind of clear. Okay, so now let's look at the options depth profile. Initial jobless benefits, continuing claims 2 weeks ago, down 2,000. I guess that's bad. I don't know. I'm not a macro bro. Okay, so here's the situation. And it's pretty clean. This is market maker positioning. And so I'm just going to go over it real quickly again. To the right of midline is market makers are long gamma. To the left, their short gamma customers are long. And so hedging response with prescription required by market makers is as we approach from above, they buy opposite the direction of the move, but then as we pull away, they sell, kind of balancing out their deltas, creating this little zone here, 6,600 on the bottom, and on top 6,640. As we approach 6,640, they sell. As we pull away, they buy. So here's the broad zone with 6,625, nice convenient round number in the middle. So where we are now, 6605, 10, whatever it is, somewhere here. Path up to stall at 6625. If we go through 25, continuation up to 6640. Over 6640, it's thin. Battle line up to 6650. Back and forth action. Now, again, this is unlikely. We're just following the path right here. If over 50, round number, then kind of a path all the way up here towards 66. What is this here? 6680, 85, all the way up here. We ain't getting there. Okay, so let's look at the downside because that's more interesting. The downside, if we break 6600, first of all, round number, psychological fiasco. There we go. Yep. I didn't see you. Hey, Gamma Edge. How you doing, buddy? I guess Paul is holding down the fort back at the server. Yeah, so he has 6620. I have 25, potato, and below 6620, below. I made my chop zone a little wider than he made his drunken sailor range, but I think it's more just how we're looking at where things inflect. But whatever it is, we're below the drunken sailor range in Gamma Edge terminology. We're in the middle of the chop zone in my terminology, and 6600, which key level for today. Yup, round number, everybody sees that. Below 6600, their secret source has 6580. My secret source has 8580. Again, potato. And so if below 66, possible downside plateau. That's a good way to, I like that. Good, nice verbiage. Good writing. Possible downside plateau. I'm going to steal that. I'm probably going to forget it in about 3 minutes. So if below 6600, we kind of have this pretty clean zone, 6580, 85 zone, gamma globs over here. So if below, ping pong between here, mean revert, chop around. Then, of course, it depends on the end of the day where we are. If we're still down here, that's a whole nother range of calculations or considerations. Do I think 6580? Gun to my head, yes. Gun to my head, yes. However, let's just to continue the analysis. If below 80, not a lot, not a lot stopping it. But let me show you where the cavalry are. Here come the cavalry. Here come the cavalry. 66. That's from the old cowboy movies. I don't know if you're allowed, if it's politically correct to even say cavalry anymore. I think the cavalry are now the bad guys, not the good guys. See what we got going on at 6650, 6550, 20,000. So we ain't getting there. And as we get down, if we get down towards 6680, whatever it is, as we get into this area, this is going to be huge, pushing us up. This whole influence here from 60, around 65, 70, whatever, this is going to be huge push up right back towards 6600. So let's keep that in mind. Below 6650 or around there, We're going to look in a minute at, but I'm getting that off the chart because it just distorts it. And again, to use a gamma edgism, trust your eye. Your eye is a good filter or something filter. And our eye shows us what's going on. Here's one zone, bounce, bounce. Here's the other zone, 6,600. The biggest local line, 6,640. Got to get over. If over, then we have kind of a path toward here. Up here, we likely ain't going there. The expected move, I would probably try a long before that. So the question is buy longs if we get down there. I'm a front runner. I would probably look to grab a long somewhere around here, maybe even at the open for all I know. All right, so now with that in mind, let's take a look at a good old-fashioned option chain. And so what's the expected move right now? I don't know if I believe this. Let's pretend we do. 27. Let's look at the SPX expected move. 27. Okay, let's pretend that's right. And if we want to get a better idea of the expected move or a different way to look at it, let's look at the 20-ish delta. The expected move takes us down all the way down here, 65.75. 65.70. Let's look, find the 20 delta. And find the 25 delta, 20 delta on top, 35.40, 16 delta. So unlikely that we get here, but we could. It's still early in the day. And so it kind of gets interesting here. So, I mean, I have these puts here at 65, 65, 90. I'm leaving them. I'm not panicking. If anything, I might add somewhere down there below 66.50. Is kind of no-brainer. Oh, I don't have a closing order in there for some reason. Okay. Let me see. 65, 60. Okay, let's see. I always start off with the default 50%, which is 15 cents. I'm going to be tempted to add to that. That looks kind of juicy. I'm going to give it a little time. See what happens at the reaction. For my wide iron conduit crowd. I don't know, that looks pretty good. That's a 15 wide. Just throw that in for fun. Up on top. See, when we're this beaten up, it's hard to pick a top. Well, let's go see 60, 75. Let's put it in for 45 cents. For the 5 wide crowd, I'd like to be, let's go see what 50 looks like up here. That's kind of a little juicy. Let me get rid of this for a second. I'll come back to that for myself. For the 5 wide crowd, a quarter at 55 maybe. Something like that. 45.40 on the bottom and 55.60 on top, 65 cents. That's pretty juicy. And even if we go a little lower here, 35 on the bottom, 35. Really, we ain't going there. Really, I would probably take advantage of the juice all the way down below 50, but obviously there's risk. And Okay, so I'm going to put that in for the 5 wide crowd. And I do it myself. You see it's there. And I put it out on Twitter and on wherever, if it wins, if it loses, etc. As far as a speculative fly, that 25 seems like a interesting place to be. Do I want to spend a buck? Why not? Let's see what happens. And these things I adjust dynamically as the day passes. That's that's kind of what I see here. All right, now let's get back to a chart and see what's been going on while we've been away putzing around with the option chain. Where's my trading view? What happened to it? Here it is. Okay, so we're at 6,600. I don't believe that expected move. I think there's something wrong with that. I have a feeling that the headlines, and I might cancel some of that stuff. Let's see what happens. We might finally be having a break into dicey territory. If this breaks 80, 85 is supposed to hold. Oh, wow, it's not even 9 o'clock. We had all this action. Okay, now let's take a look at depth view. And also we're going to take a look at gamma edge because they're here. So we'll take a look at gamma edge in a second. Let's take a look at depth view first. So depth view just shows us customer position numbers, by the way I look at it. So I'm looking at the market maker side. Loading, discuss amongst yourselves. And this is my old super advanced laptop from 2016, which is now a dinosaur, of course. And what do we see? 6,600, 2,000 contracts. I don't know if you can read the numbers, so I'm going to read it for you. That's 2,000 contracts. Thin path up to 25, 323 contracts. That gets eaten up locally pretty good. And then over 40, 1,800 contracts. And then a thin path all the way up to 6,690 where the real action is. And we ain't getting there, so don't worry about it. Quick word about these 11,000 contracts down here. There's a systematic fund, I guess we could call it, that comes in selling roughly 100 wide iron condors, usually 1 to 3 DTE, usually less than 5 delta. And so these were sold whenever, a few days ago, and we get the updates in the room. And I share them with subscribers. And so below 50, there's all this sold stuff. It pretty much looks like stealing. So this probably looks like, oh, here's JP Morgan here at 65.05. I'm probably going to look to sell something below here for the 30th. So here's the other side of the 100 wide. Remember I talked about that? So here's the 11,000 customer short market maker long at 65.50. And here's the other side of it, 64.50. So they bought 60. They sold 65.50. They bought 64.50, 100 wide. And let's see where they are for Friday. They usually have something on. I don't see them. I'll have to kind of dig through my notes. I don't know, where are they? Let's see what we have for Friday. Huh, I don't see them. Maybe they'll come in today. So, in the thinking out loud department, and knowing how these characters operate, I don't know what happened to Chewie. Knowing how these characters operate, they're probably going to come in somewhere. Yeah, but you're not on the stage.
Oh, I didn't see a link.
I put it in the somewhere. Let me do it again. I'll just send it to you as an individual. Here you are. Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, I did make a new room. I made a daily plan room. And again, that was credit where credit is due, if you want to call it credit. Okay, I just sent you the link. I made a new room, a daily plan room where subscribers write their daily plan. That's how I started doing it years ago.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I like it.
I got that idea originally from Gamma Edge. They kind of, I don't know if challenge is the right word, but I took it sort of as a challenge or as an invitation to learn. And I started writing my daily plan initially following their style and then developed my own thing. My mental decision tree didn't follow the same path as Paul's. Not that his is wrong and mine is right, or mine is right and his is wrong. We each have our own way of processing information and looking at data, etc. And so that's, I encourage people, whether you're a subscriber to me, to write your own daily plan. I was resistant for years because I'm kind of a little lazy. It feels like homework. I'm like a grown ass man. I don't want to do homework. But this is a job. If you want to make money, then
it's a job. Yeah.
So anyway, let me pull up E-mini, and I put in some levels yesterday that were based on E-mini levels. I guess kind of translated to SPX. I put them in the musing section. So I'm going to pull those up while I put you on the stage to talk. I'm just curious to see how predictive or accurate that was. But anyway, let me get to over here and let me pull up SPX. Now let's change it to E-mini and Chewy, aka Bad Hombre. I think he's called that because he's a bad hombre. And here's some levels and what you're going to see populating are mental cues levels.
Are you ready for me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I think if ES can hold above 675, I think we can see a relief push, potentially all the way up to 690. I think that's kind of the cap for me today in terms of the move to the upside, maybe 700. But again, it's not too much after that. To the downside,
that's roughly 6650 SPX.
And that marks your level?
Yeah. 40
Okay.
is my top level, there's about a 55-point difference. So, and that would be 95. And so potato again.
Got it. Okay. And for downside, I think if coming to the opening bell, we push into 68, 670. I'm gonna be looking for downside, and I have a pretty aggressive target for downside. I'm looking around 615, potentially even 590.
So
Got a
how
lot of
many
room.
points down is that?
If we make it up to 668, that's 1 second. 70 points?
How many?
70?
Wow. That's aggressive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the downside moves have been around 40, 50 points this week. So I think one last push down before we get some relief makes sense to me.
Wow.
If we don't get it today.
Okay, I can't find what I was looking for. I was looking for some levels I put in last night somewhere. I don't know what happened to them.
For those and
Oh, here we are. I found it. I'm just gonna throw it in the chat.
for those of you that trade a little bit more directionally, the way I do, um, I do think if you were struggling this week, I do think today is going to show some relief in terms of price action, and I'm pretty excited for today and tomorrow.
Okay.
It's been pretty grindy after the open.
Now, from my point of view, or what I look, looking at like options, gamma, VIX kind of stuff, we've pretty much exceeded the expected move almost every day, as VIX has kind of repriced risk, for lack of a better way of putting it, to now with a VIX of 17, that's over 1% expected move. So that's 65 points expected move.
So I'm not too far off.
No, so right. So you're kind of right in that ballpark, saying that you basically expect vol to realize today, kind of, or that wouldn't shock you.
Correct.
Now
And I
on
almost expected a little bit.
Now on the mean reversion side of the table, maybe we have a day where we don't exceed the expected move. That doesn't mean that we have like a quiet day. A day where we stay, let's just say, 40 points, which is still a lot, or 35 points.
A lot of money to be made there.
Right. And so whichever way you want to slice it, today might be one of those days where we get some moves. And I don't know what we're at 6,600, folks.
It's 100 points in a week. That's pretty aggressive.
Yeah. And so the expected move last Friday to Friday, put us at the bottom, 65, 75-ish or 70, something like that. And we kind of have some options in that area. We have some stuff. Where are we? And that's kind of gamma edges level. We have a little bit there for Friday, 6670. So I'm just going to guess that, or not guess, this was base. No, it's just the top. What is the bottom? 65. Okay, 6,600. Okay, 65.80 for tomorrow as well. That's kind of the bottom of the expected move from last Friday. Not surprising to see things there. 65.50 tomorrow. 65.50 a lot here. So, I might look for something to sell for tomorrow, like way down there. Way down there. I'm just curious to see. Now, this is the old don't try this at home, kids, unless you know what you're doing or unless you're comfortable sitting through fake pain. But let's go see what that looks like. That looks like you're not getting you're not getting paid. 75 or even 70 for 55 cents. That's worth it for me. It might not be worth it for folks that like to trade 5 wide. So if I were trading 5 wide, a quarter makes sense. What's going on up on top? I guess you can say 6,700 ain't happening, right? So are we all on board saying we ain't hitting 6,700? But there's no juice in the juice bar there. 66.90, 20 cents. Put that in. On a wider one, 6,700, 67.15 or 20. See if we get 45 cents for that. So that's what I'm just playing around with for Friday. Now let's see what happens. And that's basically it. Any other questions before I get out of here? Or comments or ideas, trades? Let's just get back to a chart one last time, because us traders live on the charts. This stuff is all well and good, and I live on this stuff too. But a lot of people get, most of us during our work day, so to speak, our eyes are glued to some sort of chart, I would think.
It's going to be my demise, Doc.
I'm telling you. And your age too.
Yeah.
You guys in this racket early.
Yeah.
But that's good. In 50 years, you'll have a decent fund of experience to draw from.
That's the plan.
So this is interesting. What can I say? Okay, let's see what happens. Oh yeah, like I said, I saw some headlines of like U.S. bombers, Russia, Europe, Poland, something or other. That can't be making the market happy. We got saber rattling going on across the pond in Europe. So, and we're heading into the seasonally weak October, blah, 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 self-fulfilling prophecy. So, as Charlie said in the Nomura note on Monday, I think it was, or Tuesday, he said, keep your hedges on. Because like right now, up until for months, those hedges have just been burning theta. They just been bleeding and not working. And so people roll their hedges, depending if they're like 30-day hedges or 90-day, like your Decembers or however you do it, or weekly, whatever your hedges are. If you still have them on, you're probably happy. And we're going into the seasonally weak October. Doesn't mean it has to happen. Oh, also, let's not forget, sell on Rosh Hashanah, buy on Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah was Monday. Yom Kippur is 8 days from Monday is Tuesday. So Tuesday is, well, I don't know if buy on Tuesday is going to work. because that's when the JP Morgan 906505 collar support, we could call it, goes bye-bye. And I'll be writing something, a little more road ahead for the weekend. But once this goes bye-bye at 66, on the 30th, it's just thin gamma. It's not like it's negative or positive. There's nothing there. Just look at, I don't know if you can see these numbers here for October 1st, 100, 300, 500. This is nothing. And the monthly, quick look at the monthly. Well, we're not going to do that now. I'm going to rock and roll, and I'll write something up later. Here's was TA last night. Okay.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Nanda for doing those cheat sheets.
Yay, Nanda. And I think I'll tweet out the cheat sheet today just so people know what we're talking about. That's something that people get every day. The subscribers get, and it's in the Discord, etc. Yeah, she does a impressive job with that. So somehow everything you need to know and we're afraid to ask on one piece of paper. Let me actually pull up the cheat sheet now and send it here so like the YouTube folks can see it. I gotta find it. Cheat sheet. Copy image. Minimize. Maximize. How do I get to it?
I can post it in the free subscribers for Whoop so they can get an idea of it.
Okay, there you go. Good idea. I don't know, some things happening with my maybe I can do it this way.
All
Okay.
right.
I'm losing my technological edge here.
Save it for the session, Doc.
All right, take care, everybody. I don't even
Bye-bye.
know how to sign off now. Okay. That's where it is. Found it. Okay, end screen, found it. All right, take care, everybody.